Okay, I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Edenton Town Council for March 10th, 2026 to order. Our first order of business is recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll stand. All right. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we're going to call upon Mayor Pro Tem Bond to give us our invocation.
You didn't want to do it? You sure?
You're on the agenda.
Okay. We'll bow our heads. Oh, Heavenly Father, we say thank you. Thank you for blessing us this morning to awaken under your love, your mercy, and your grace. Thank you for guiding us through the day and helping us along as we display that mercy and grace that you gave to us, to our families, and to people that we meet in the street. Oh Lord, please help this council to continue to make our little sweet town a good town, a clean town, a safe town, and a friendly town. Help us to make this place an enjoyable, pleasant place to live, to work, and to play in. Yes. In Jesus' name we say amen.
Amen. Thank you as always, Councilman Bond.
Yes, sir.
Our next order of business is approval of minutes. The council has been supplied with minutes from the February 10th and December 22nd and February 23rd meetings. Are there any comments to those minutes or any requests for any corrections? There appearing to be none, I'll ask for a motion for approval in a second.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second for approval of these minutes as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes have now been approved. Next, we move to our public comment section of our agenda. We welcome the comments, and we've had 5 people sign up. And just like to remind our speakers that you are limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and we'll call you in the order in which you signed up. Our first speaker tonight is Karen Murray. Ms. Murray.
Thank you. Karen Murray, 112 West Queen. I've got several topics, so I'll be brief. A question about minutes. You just approved 3 of them, but are the minutes for the January 19th retreat available somewhere? I wasn't able to find it.
Not yet.
Next topic's the Wazelka House, 103 West Queen. The January 12th minutes that you just approved, there were implications in that meeting that the house would remain residential, as it's long been requested by the people that live on that street. Mr. Leith, the EHC director, stated, and this is a quote from the minutes, stated that the commission will take possession of the Wazelka House and following restrictions of the town and Southern Bank to complete construction updates and restoration, end quote. And then when he was asked if the property would be sold after completed restoration, his reply was that these details are yet to be finished. So apparently it's already been sold. There hasn't been any restoration, not before it was sold anyway. The roof was replaced on February 28th, and there was no notice to EPC for that, which they should have done because they did a complete roof replacement. So my question is, what is the plan for the use of the building, and will it be residential? And any of the work that needs to be done on the outside, which is substantial, the EPC needs to be involved in that. My third topic is Swain, 200 East Church. These are some questions I hope you'll address in your discussion. What are the implications and the plans for the senior center with regard to the building transfer? It's in the downstairs and it's been there for apparently decades. And does that mean the senior center would also transfer from county to the town also in terms of its organizational structure? So please keep the senior center staff in the loop through the planning and development of this if you approve this. And remember that the senior center participants want it to stay where it is.
And Ms. Murray, as you're well aware, you and your husband come a lot, and the concerns raised during public comment require more research. We will report back at our next meeting on that. If we can answer the questions fairly quickly, we answer those tonight. I think you've got
Sure.
answers to all of those tonight, or at least some of them.
Yes,
Okay, so we'll answer some.
That's why I'm hoping
Yeah,
you
we'll
will
answer
address
some
some
of
of
those
those in your
tonight.
discussion. Thank you very much.
And you do that at, later in the agenda. Okay. Next, Hal Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have just really one question here, and it involves the Swain Auditorium. And I'm hoping that either during the discussion or now, you could give 2 or 3 examples of what your vision is for the use of that space.
Okay, and we'll address that when we have that discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hal.
Yes, sir.
Next, Lori Dablo.
Hope everybody's doing well tonight. I'm here as a member of the 4th of July Planning Committee, and we are just having a ball planning for the America 250 Edenton celebration. We got, I don't know if you all have had a chance to look at the roster of events, but it's full. There's all kinds of events going all day long on the 4th of July. We've got the trolley making stops all throughout town to help our visitors get to different places, as parking is going to be limited on Broad Street. And as a broader part of the America 250, I really believe with all my heart that we are going to see just a number of visitors this year who want to experience the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence in the first colonial capital of North Carolina. I think that people will flock to areas where there's living history, where they can have a sense of what it was like on that first occasion as they made the announcement that the Declaration of Independence had been. So we stand to have even more visitors than we had last year, which according to the downtown Edenton was 8,400 people on the 4th of July. For that week, we had 28,100. A lot of people here. And I think we could potentially double that amount of people. So that kind of event planning requires a lot of help. And right now, as I understand, I'm new to this, but the Optimist Club is sorely short on volunteers, as is the police department, as I understand it. We really charge them with a lot of responsibility, and they are the front, greeters for everybody that's coming to town and will experience Edenton. So I came to ask you, as leaders in our community and everybody here, most of us have affiliations with civic groups, churches, and other professional groups. Could you make it your intention to talk to those groups about getting some volunteers? It should be really simple. We should turn ourselves inside out this year to show the hospitality, the warmth, the planning, the preparation, and readiness for this big event. And if we don't start now trying to get some volunteers, the Optimist Club would be the person, I'm sure all of you all know the gentleman that heads up the Optimist Club. If you could contact him, if you could get people from the Lions Club, from Rotary Club, from all these different civic groups, and get them lined up and help with it. They need help with everything. They need help with the games. They need help with greeting people. They need help with showing people where to park. They need help. And I don't think any of us should ignore that need. So that's why I'm here tonight, to ask you to do that and to get back to the Optimist Club and to Chief to let him know if in fact your group or your church or your professional group would be willing to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Uh-huh.
Thank you very
Just
much.
for, has the organization started soliciting for volunteers?
The Optimist Club, have they started doing that? I think they left that to us to go out and talk to the community.
Okay.
I think in the past, and again, I'm new to the group, but in the past, I think they have tried to get volunteers from the different groups and have been very successful. But what I'm hearing is there's just a real shortage of volunteers.
Okay.
And that would really help us share with 10,000 or more people expected here. And it would show a very friendly face, I think, to all the visitors.
Maybe we can get something going on our own social media platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Lori, I'll reach out to you, I've got some ideas.
Okay, good, wonderful, thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is John Mitchner. John?
Mr. Mayor, Town Council, if you drive down East King Street as far as you can go, if you take a right turn, you'll end up in Queen Anne's Creek. But if you veer to the left, you'll be on McMullen Avenue right in front of the cotton mill. And there is a huge vacant lot there. In my dad's childhood in the 1930s, the kids who grew up in the mill played baseball there against the kids from the west side of the railroad tracks in Edenton. Nobody's playing baseball now there. And all the conversations I hear, there's a great need for housing. I don't see why houses of the same dimension and lots of the same dimension that currently exist in the cotton mill area could not be developed on that same vacant lot. Now, how much longer is it going to kiss sunshine before we bring it on task to help this community grow? Thank you.
Thank you, John. Our next speaker is Wayne Caskey. Wayne?
Mayor, City Council, I would like to make some comments on the MLK Junior Day. The riots in South Central Los Angeles broke out on Wednesday, April 29th, 1992. My pastor had preached on the spiritual implications of the riot. I was so overwhelmed by the whole situation that I went home, locked myself in the office with the determination not to come out until I had some answers. 3 days later, I emerged from my office in the afternoon, and that was the day I became a fan of Martin Luther King Jr. The very next day, I found myself in South Central Los Angeles, 2 blocks from where Reginald Denny was pulled from his truck and was severely beaten. I continued going into South Central for the next 15 months, unemployed with an 80-mile one-way trip. Over the years, I have a compilation of just about every speech and sermon that he has given. A former pastor and adherent of MLK Jr. was asked to be the keynote speaker by the NAACP on MLK Jr. Day in February of 2001. After his speech, the city council and some dignitaries who were present tried to pass a local ordinance against hate speech. The next council meeting was attended by hundreds of people protesting this decision. The motion failed as city attorneys said the ordinance would be unconstitutional. What could he have said? Quote, homosexuality and immoral sexual preference should not be linked with the issue of racism and civil rights. It would be like comparing apples and oranges. My son and I eventually visited the National Rights Museum in Memphis. While debating whether to pay the price of admission, I spotted a lady across the street on a corner surrounded by signs and went there instead. On March the 2nd, 1988, she was forcibly withdrawn from the Lorraine Motel as a tenant in preparation for what was to become the National Civil Rights Museum. As of last summer, 2025, you can still find her standing on that corner. Jacqueline Smith, the Memphis protester, had a new fan. When I was sharing this with some other and other things with a group of people last year, I made the statement. I didn't realize how smart of a man Martin Luther King Jr. was. Someone asked me and said, why? Because he was a black man? I couldn't believe my ears, but I had heard. That's some thinking, some stinking thinking in my mind. Is this the kind of thinking, this is the kind of thinking I find prevalent at times in this town and hope one day will disappear. I will leave you with one of my favorite quotes in the Bible by Agur. Surely I am more stupid than any other man. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caskey. Next, we move to the new business portion of our agenda. The first agenda item is discussion and action is going to be required.
Hello, can anyone hear me? I had wanted
Excuse me? Okay, our next agenda item is new business. The first matter that we need to discuss and take action on is a rural downtown economic development grant for the Edenton lighting upfit project. We'll be considering funding acceptance of the grant that has been awarded, and I'm going to have Corey discuss this in more detail, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a grant totaling $850,000 from the Department of Commerce for their rural downtown economic development. This project would support the downtown Edenton lighting upfit project and would replace outdated lighting and install new lighting in areas downtown. It's a commercial district where lighting is currently insufficient. These lighting improvements are intended to enhance public safety, downtown visibility, and economic vitality while supporting continued investment and activity in Edenton's historic district. Staff recommends the council approve acceptance of the grant and authorize the execution of the required grant agreement for the project. One thing to note here is this grant does have a local 5% match, which would total $42,500 associated with that.
Okay, any questions or comments related to this grant?
Where are we pulling the 42,000 from?
Some of these grants offer in kind for services we provide, but we have got to finish reviewing the grant agreement to see if that's an eligible expense. However, if not, this would come from our system expansion or system network improvements for the electric department because of it being a lighting project.
And that's already in the budget, that amount, is that correct? In the existing budget?
This project would likely start after July 1, but if we were to start today, yes, there's enough there in this current budget to do that as well.
Well, we've been trying to get this for how many decades?
A long time.
I know 20 years. I saw Anne Marie the other day, and she said, I can go and finally got it, and I can get it forever. And all these towns around us have got it. And so I think this is found money. Once again, the taxpayers don't have to pay for it.
Okay, any other? At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve and accept the grant funding for the downtown Edenton lighting upfit project. Is that a motion? A second. All in favor of accepting this grant, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we move to a proposed budget amendment related to our USDA wastewater treatment plant project. As a part of that particular project, the town earned interest on its investments in the amount of $91,698.48, and we are allowed to keep that income here in the town, and we'll need a budget amendment to recognize the interest coming in as revenue for the water and sewer department. The project, as all of you know, has been finalized with USDA, and that investment account has been closed at their request, so it is time for us to transfer that into the appropriate account. Town manager and staff recommends that we recognize this budget amendment, and also, since it was related to our water and sewer department, that revenue go to the water and sewer department. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor of this budget amendment for the wastewater treatment project interest, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That budget amendment carries. Next, we've got a budget amendment related to runway 119 project out at our airport. This was a lighting rehab grant that we approved back in February of this year. There was a clerical error on the expense side of the amendment, which made that particular budget item out of balance. The amendment is to reflect the correct actual revenue and expense for this grant. Town manager's staff recommends that we approve the amendment as presented. Because it does involve a correction to the expense side of it. Are there any questions of the town manager or Virginia on this?
What again is the difference?
The totals didn't match for the revenues and expenses.
It did not.
What was it was just an error in adding up the total expense.
Okay.
Was it 23 or 4 grand?
Virginia,
Yeah, it was a copy and paste error on my part. It was out of balance like 40 grand or so, but the actual grant itself was the 20,480. So we just need to reflect that in the minutes, so that the auditor will have a check mark beside it, yes, it was done correctly.
Any more questions? Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion approved, second to approve the budget amendment related to the runway 119 project. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next matter is to consider a letter to the Chowan County Board of Commissioners related to the Swain Auditorium building. We discussed this at our January 19, 2026 annual planning retreat. We've got Bob Irby here. He's been a part of those discussions. I know one concern that has been raised out in the streets and also by at least 2 people tonight of what the intent is with the senior citizen center. And the intent is to keep that for an extended period of time in its current location. If the county gifts us this property, and if we approve the gift, the county will enter into a lease with the town to continue it there. The long-term viability of that, we'll just have to determine that, but the intent is to keep it there at the senior citizen center. I didn't know if there's going to be any in-depth discussion, if we wanted to go ahead and get the motion a second out of the way, then open it up to that discussion and questions.
Just an estimate on repairs.
yeah,
That's a place needs work.
Do we have estimates yet on what's gonna cost?
Well, it's not going to cost us, it's not our intent to, we would only do things that were absolutely necessary. It's not our intent to put taxpayer money into it. The
So we
intent-
carry the deed, is that right?
Yeah, we'll own it, and if there's something major, we'd have to do that. But as far as any improvements or any taxpayer expense, that's not our intent.
I think our intent is to figure out what to do with it, and then just like if a private person, if we had, we've had a lot of these things where we didn't take things that have caused a lot of trouble. If the town had taken the hotel building 10 years ago, we probably wouldn't have had this long period of time. The cotton mill was offered to everybody, but my vision of this is for us not to do anything right now. We just become the entity and then tries to figure out what to do with it, and then we find funding or let a private group take it over. And raise some money, a 501c3 or something like that. And I think having these services like the senior citizens in our downtown is awesome. I think we need to protect that. And I think this will help do that. The more we can do to make that work, we can apply for grants, county can apply for grants. But here we are being offered something for nothing, and I think we can, right in the middle, I don't know what the new tax value is on it, but I bet it's enormous. So, I think it's a huge asset that we need that we need to figure out what to do with, and I think that it's in town.
What you're saying is
We need
let's
to do
get it
that.
and then work
Yeah.
on the details.
Yeah, I don't see us spending any money on it. So,
Other than general maintenance.
and I think that they've done a lot, I mean, they did a lot to the windows, if I remember right. They've done,
I
it
know
needs
it's
some work, but it's not falling
Rain,
apart.
I think it's rainwater also like that. So
So the main reason the county wants to give it to us is what?
Well, and for us, it's the one to work with them to stabilize the, senior center to be at that location for at least the immediate future. But also, what it allows us to do is to now, instead of having one municipal entity that's making attempts to go afterwards, now that the senior center is there and it was ran by the county, when we talk about grant funding for that space and its organization's mission, you know, that creates its own bucket, and particularly for us, having the ability, like for this rural economic development downtown grant, us to go after things for commerce that's not commonly applied for with like a county municipal system. And so between that and the relationships we have with the existing nonprofits that are here in town, then we've got the ability to go after a lot more funding that the county just may not be able to go after or choose to go.
So I know we had one group present to us at the retreat, their idea. Has there been any other groups that have come to us stating some ideas?
Not at this time.
Okay.
I think that, you know, that it would be smart to talk with the state also, because that, the state's joint sites right there.
I thought you had some good ideas.
Yeah, I think she had great ideas, so I think there are other, you know, there are all kinds of ideas out there that we could look at.
Yeah.
But I think it's really a two-step process, the first being the preservation and protection of that building as a historic site. And then, you know, after that's completed, the second portion of that is now what do we want to do with the community with that space?
Has the roof been renovated or repaired? You have answer to that, Commissioner?
I'm sorry, I didn't come here to speak. I came here with my deposit book, so when y'all give us $1, I can make sure. Parts of it have been, Councilman, the windows, we've got it so the water doesn't get into the building. And, but that's going to be an ongoing challenge, and it's not a challenge that the county think would be the best use of our funds at this point.
I know that there were some insurance proceeds that were given to the county sometime last year. Will that convey or not? For that building?
What conveys is the building.
Mm.
And my thought on it, as far as the expense side of it, is we're certainly not going to allow, because it's not what we do, particularly stuff that we might own, we're not gonna allow that building to become an eyesore or to become in a huge state of disrepair. But I would anticipate that there would be a holding period where we would do about the same thing that the county has done, and to make sure it doesn't deteriorate, make sure, and right now it's not, the water coming in, they've solved that problem. And do the bare minimum, not to allow it to deteriorate, not to allow it to become a eyesore, but to do the bare minimum, while we seek out hopefully a public-private partnership where our involvement would be involved, it would include seeking grants and things of that nature, but not anything where we're putting money on the line.
With the bare minimum, will we be extending any town funds?
Initially,
The bare minimum.
other than whatever legal expense we have to transfer ownership, I don't see any expenses.
Which I know the Children Arts Council would love to utilize that in the future.
But I'm not sure we don't, you know, that there's not some private investor that would want to use tax credits. I mean, I think all of that's would be something that everybody ought to look at. Some kind of
It really had its heyday.
What's the percentage of that building we would own?
Just the back out, right?
Yeah, the back
Which
part
is
of it.
what kind of percent?
50, you look like.
50%?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at it like an overhead shot of it,
Yeah.
then eyeball, it's about 50%. And basically, the front portion, the residential portion, stays with the private owner.
And they're out
In the
of,
back.
they're out
What's
of
it say?
Windsor. Oh,
What's it say?
So we get all this over.
Mhm.
Well, for the project, my biggest thing is I don't want it to be a thing to where it's gonna cost taxpayers money for major upkeeps and any type of major renovations. I know taking on ownership, that's what's required, but that's my fear.
no, I agree with you, but I would love to put it out there for some groups to consider what to do with it.
And I think there are groups out there that would consider.
Yeah.
And if we own it, then we've got
Yeah, that's right.
the authority and we're in a position to do so. I look at it as an
Perfect
opportunity.
spot.
It's not like I don't share your concerns or Councilman Costin's concerns. But we have a very long and successful history of taking projects like this and turning it into something that we can all be very proud of. And I think that opportunity exists in this opportunity. And what Craig is referring to is back in the 90s, that auditorium was very, very active. Edenton Little Theater, dance recitals
We had
for
the
the
big bands
children.
come in.
Yeah. And I can attest to that, road out here.
Concerts.
You
Yeah.
can see people dancing in the aisle right now.
Yeah.
Notice
Did they
that?
just,
We had every MLK day there.
Yes, we did.
We had several assemblies in school. I mean, so it was pretty lively. It's great. I think the idea is great. I'm just scared about it.
did they just take a building like that in Hertford and do something with it, or they plan on doing it?
Yeah,
Is it ready?
no, that's way more of a project.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
much more of a
Yeah,
project.
if you want to ride over there and look at it, I can make.
I think I know what it's
arrangements for you to look
from.
at it.
Yeah, I know
That's
what
way
it's
more of a
What's the
project.
capacity right now?
A little over 700, is that right, Corey? I think when Dwayne and I toured it, it was like 700.
Yeah, right under 7.
400.
Well, it's a
That's a little bit more than
Where
that.
there's seats.
Because we counted them, she wanted to cut off.
My class was the first class to graduate from that auditorium back in 1970. So let's put this to a vote and move on,
1970.
because we're gonna do it together.
Okay, do you want to make, you put that in the form of a motion?
Yes, I put this in form of.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Were you,
Okay.
was he born then?
That's when I was born.
Huh?
I was born then.
Oh, okay.
You just rubbing it
I
in
told
now,
you I
Mom.
was old.
The next agenda item is the fiscal year 24-25 audit response letter and corrective action plan. Anytime we receive an audit and there are items of note on there, we are required by LGC and the North Carolina auditor to come up with a corrective action plan. It's something that we're familiar with and do. Almost every municipality has to do it if they had any comments on their audit. So I'm gonna hand this over to Corey to explain it in more detail and then open it up to councilman's questions.
Thank you, Mayor. The CAP was included in the agenda packet. Virginia's here with us tonight in case we get into the weeds. But part of the statutory requirements is that we submit this within 60 days of hearing the audit presentation. If you remember, we did that on February 10th, so we're about midway. So by the time we get this signed and submitted, we'll be, well within the halfway mark of that requirement. But if there are any questions in here, I'll be glad to go over any of those. And one thing to note is we did have a hard time tonight for Virginia and I to, after this meeting, get everyone's signature, because it does require everyone's signature, and then Virginia and I would attest the document. But if there are any questions, I'll be glad to go through those. And we can go section by section, or if there's a particular section that sticks out, we'll be glad to.
And before the others chime in, would you share with the public and also council regarding the recent grant reimbursements that have come in over projects that have extended over a number of years that have adversely affected our balance sheet and our financial statements?
So the last 4 years, the town has been involved with over $26 million in grants, in which the town is the bank, and so some grant providers are quick to reimburse funds, and some are very slow to reimburse funds. But during that period, the town is the bank that pays those expenses ahead of time, and then once everything is cleared and reviewed and approved, then reimbursement submitted. To give you an example, Virginia and I are working on reimbursements now for one of the last portions for CDBG that totals over $50,000. We've got close to $100,000 grant for one of the reimbursements for one of the AIA projects for closeout there, just like what you've seen tonight with the closeout of the project for the interest. You know, those are the type of things that come back at the end of these projects. And then we have an additional $200,000 in reimbursement slated now for the well project. So those dollars are spent. And then once approved and reviewed and accepted by the state, that's when we see reimbursements. That is, I would say, the biggest portion of what we heard from Mr. Eubanks at the February meeting. Mayor High mentioned the idea around the cash balance, and he had told us at that time we were at roughly 3.9 in cash balance. We did include an updated month-end statement that was a part of what they recommend to us to share that monthly. We do that monthly at every regular meeting. That's already what we're doing. One of the findings was a GASB 101 change, which was pre-encumbering any accruals for vacation time for staff. There was a change in the rule. This is not a repeat finding for us. Virginia, miss anything on this CAP?
No.
Corey, you didn't have any repeat findings, did you?
Corey, there's a spreadsheet somewhere that you have that shows what we're waiting on,
Yes.
how much is coming in?
Yeah, so we track any expense from July 1 to June 30 for that matches that fiscal year, anything that we know we paid out during that time period. And most of these projects, and this is what makes this really fuzzy, because it typically falls within the current fiscal year, but for capital projects, there's no fiscal year requirement. So you say, what does that mean? The 91,000 in interest that we just seen back from USDA, that project dates all the way back to 2017. So from the capital standpoint, administrative and soft costs that we are prepaying from 2017 and 2018 and fast forward, same administrative costs till we get to the point of being able to seek reimbursements right on through 2025 when we close out that project in August 2025. Those are prepaid expenses that at some point we'll get that reimbursement. So yes, we itemize one-to-one every expense to every revenue. And we do that by fiscal year and for the total capital project if it's not tied to a fiscal year.
So ours is mainly a lot of timing issues.
Yes.
LGC, they're not too patient with timing
We,
issues.
I mean, you got a starting line and a finish line, and at some point you have to timestamp
Right.
something so you have a snapshot. And
Okay,
that is a snapshot as of midnight, June 30th, 2025.
gotcha.
And Craig, one thing that I think is interesting about our corrective action plan and what we've been telling the LJC, we've been telling them, look, we've got a lot of projects going on, and this is causing the numbers to be out of whack. So when we're telling them what our corrective action plan is, we're already seeing some of those things come into place the first 2 months of this year. So we're able to go back to them and say, basically, see, you know, we're building some trust here with you guys, because we said this is what's going on, and look, it's starting to happen.
Does LGC normally come back and check?
They will, because they will see the following year's audit.
Okay.
So in an additional 12 months, they will see what you
I'm sure this
claim.
happens in other municipalities. yeah.
It does. So to put it in perspective, this all centers around fund balance percentage, okay? So this is the way I view this. We have a responsibility to these citizens to use 100% of dollars to their full potential. So if we collect $1, we want to use $1 towards any kind of improvement we can be. So we can leverage those dollars to complete these projects, knowing that this is not hurting the bottom line. When we talk about a total cash statement, this is we're paying it now to be repaid in the future. The alternative is to not go after grants and use only town money or to have a balance that is in addition to what we need as working capital that just sets there. So we can set 34% of what is our fund balance for our peers to the side and not use it. And it just sets. Or we can use that money, which we've done pretty efficiently. And so, it's really, how much do we hedge those dollars for something that we are assured reimbursement on?
Okay, are there any more questions or comments? Just like to remind you, if we do approve this correction action plan, I think Corey needs your signature before you leave tonight, is that correct? So at the end of the meeting, please remember that. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the correction action plan. Got a second?
Second.
Got a motion and second to approve this action plan. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the next agenda item is the town manager report. Corey?
Thank you, Mayor.
And if you have any easy responses to those comments that were made earlier, please provide those if you have them.
Yes. So, for the, there were total 4 public comments received at the February 10th, 2026 full council meeting. The first was George Lewis. He spoke on the recent MLK celebration and made a request that all local institutional groups work together on a shared plan and assist with the local celebration. We thank Mr. Lewis for that information, and staff will continue to look and see how we can be better supportive for these events that happen here locally for the MLK Junior holiday. JD Grant thanks staff for all the hard work from Public Works and the Police Department during the winter storms. Thank you for those kind words. We all agree that all town staff that participated in the winter storm events did an amazing job, and we want to thank them for doing an amazing job. Bob Kirby spoke about the Harbor Town concerns. Thank you, Commissioner Kirby, for sharing this information. We will continue to do our due diligence and provide local oversight as we move forward with the local Harbor Towns initiatives and operations. We will follow the letter of the law with any and all efforts that the town is included in. Gil Burrows begged council to please not let funding go back to the state and to utilize these funds to improve the local waterfront. Mr. Burrows also provided input for project needs for the waterfront. Thank you, Mr. Burrows, for the abundance of information that you've shared. We have reviewed this list of information that you provided and have worked to try to include every possible amenity that you recommended. We are actively working with the Harbor Towns group to get as much of these items within the project scope. When we look at items considered timely and important, Mayor High thanks staff for the winter work and preparations and for council helping him during his absence. Town staff and council agree and are very proud to be a part of this local team, and thank you all for all the hard work and support. Councilman Miller asked for a Hyatt Hotel update. Dwayne answered this at the meeting. Dwayne did reach back out the following day, and the developer stated that they were in development stages in Laurinburg and plan to finish that before they start the project in Edenton. The tentative date is in the later months of 2027. I did reach out to the city manager there in Laurinburg to see if any permits or special use permits had been
This is a Marriott,
Hyatt.
Hyatt.
And
I thought it was a Hyatt, I thought it was a Marriott.
it's what the higher tier.
Higher tier.
Yeah, that's the parent company, but there are different levels within that.
It's the same answer they give us kind of every time, right?
Yes, and so after.
Looks like somebody's jumping ahead of us.
Yeah,
Each year.
but I did reach out to the city manager there in Laurinburg to find out, and he did confirm that no permits or plans had been submitted for local approval. Also, Councilman Costin asked for a Project Teapot update. Chess was able to provide an update at the meeting. The project is still on track and still in the works. We are still targeting an August release for AR Chess on the building and an October release for Rollins. So we have been very busy with utility improvements back there. Most of those will continue this week. But as for now, everything's still on schedule. Mayor, that's all I have for the manager's report, but I did take a couple notes from this morning. Mr. Murray asked about Swain Auditorium. The idea would be to either establish an MOU or a lease with the county to keep that group, recreation group there. That would be how we would keep them in the building. Ms. Dablow asked about the 4th of July committee that she's on, and what we'll do is try to get you in contact with Timmy, who has a full list that we do for all of our volunteer outreach for every organization, every group of folks who are interested in participating in various events. So we'll make contact before the end of the week on that.
Gordon, can I follow through on that?
Yes.
Ms. Stample, would you contact John Gard? He's our program chairman of the Edenton Lions Club, and get on schedule to do a program. We have about 35 members. Maybe pick up some assistance there for the July 4th.
John Gard.
John Gard.
Mr. Mitchner asked about the East King Street vacant lot, and we've been working over the last 6 months with the folks from Preservation, North Carolina, on coming to some type of agreement to figure out how to use that space and who the correct owner should be. So it's in the process, and we don't like it being vacant and underutilized any more than you do, but we have been in active kind of negotiations with them, particularly where there's 4 parcels there that are still remaining to be determined who's the best owner. So,
Can I make, but they're all, when we did that negotiation, they were all put under covenant. They can't be built on. I mean, there was a master plan that was set aside as passive open space, and it was determined that it shouldn't ever be built on. And I think that I see some nods from some Mill Village folks, and that there's just no way it's gonna be built on at all, ever. It's just not it's not possible. It could never happen. I can talk to you later about it, but that's the bottom line.
and that should be everything that I can
Answer right now.
answer on
Okay.
on the fly.
Well, I appreciate that. Next, we move to items considered timely and important. The only thing that I have to say regarding this agenda item is I want us to continue to try to work hard to improve our communication system to our residents when we have street blockages, when we have major infrastructure improvements going on, street closures and the like. And I understand a very popular way of doing that these days is social media. And I would also, particularly if we have enough advance notice, and we should, particularly would encourage us to also implement some old-fashioned procedures like flyers on business stores, flyers handed out to business people, flyers put on automobiles in residential sections. And also another thing, we had this recently within the last year or two, people are pretty fanatical about on-street parking in their neighborhoods. If we're going to change the parking alignment, somehow to get better notice to them and to us that that's going on. But I feel like that's one area where we could improve on our communication when we're having major projects and major street closures.
How can you go before me?
Which way you going? Raise your hand, you go.
Yeah,
I'm sitting right
Okay.
beside
you're Mayor Pro Tem
You
here.
can jump over me.
There are privileges that come with that, Mayor Pro Tem Bonds. You can go next.
Look, I want to thank Corey and David. I've been crying for 12 years for sidewalks on Hereford Road, and they have started to work on that this week. I wish y'all had started on the other side, because they claim they're gonna get my side done and their side ain't gonna get done. You know, but thank you, y'all heard the crowd, I appreciate it.
You know, but
Not yet.
Put your handprint in.
Not yet, not yet.
Okay, Craig, we can go.
And just to remind you now, April is quarterly update of the Hinton Hotel. We just want to make sure Dawson is on the agenda, probably for the second meeting in April, since you guys are going to be at a meeting, but I'm anxious to hear what he has to say. Like he said last time, he hopes to see hammers swinging in July. So let's see what he has to say in April.
And I think we're gonna have another meeting on that Thursday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Patrick?
Two quick things. We could find out a little bit more from DOT about the crosswalks on Broad, where we stand with that. And then two, I would commend Lori Dablo. She did not love the way the 4th of July celebrations were run last year, and we always encourage people to get involved, and that's exactly what she's done. That's what makes our town go around. So thank you for that, Lori.
Bob?
Our paving schedule this year will start when?
We had started some,
Okay.
to get really the last remaining, like, very bad shape.
Yeah, fix
Very
up.
bad condition.
Okay.
Probably.
New budget, yeah.
New budget, okay.
We did just pay Court, Blade, and East Freemason from the railroad track to Coke
Okay,
Avenue. We did them this week, or
okay.
last week.
David or CJ, have y'all had any conversations about the crosswalks? I know we were starting at the, stoplight ones first. We've done some concrete work around some of those.
We did do the concrete work. I reached out to Madison Phillips, and they said they were still in the budget phase. But I can reach back out tomorrow to try to get an update.
Okay.
Mayor, in that same conversation with DOT, could we figure out when the bridge project is supposed to start? Or do we know?
2027?
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's 2027.
Did they say which plan they adopted? One that takes longer or shorter?
The longer one with the,
3-year
with
plan.
the controlled access to keep one lane active.
Okay, was that your? Was that your? Okay. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you as always for coming. That concludes our meeting tonight, and I will declare it adjourned.